G'day viewers, how they hanging? Peter here. This is the Victa 2-stroke off the Garden Art that I got for free the other day, and unfortunately the fella's disassembled it. Now the bore looks beautiful. The piston's a little bit there's a little bit of wobble in the piston. I don't know if you can see that. But the first thing I did is I got a brand new spark plug and checked the spark, and there's no spark. So this is going to be a points model, I'm sure, from the 1970s. So I've got to take the flywheel off, and I've got to resolve the spark issues because this has got the old die-cast carby. I quite like these, and I've pulled them apart 1,000 times. So there's nothing in there that I can't get working. So if it's mechanically sound, which it appears to be, and it's got spark, and I can fix the carby, then this mower is going to go. It needs a bit of a wash. I don't know why it's so oily, really. Might have been running a bit rich. Now, the way I get these flywheels off, this mower is 50 years old, and it's been garden art for a number of years, so out in the weather. So there's a reasonable chance that this flywheel won't want to come off. Now I've already taken the cup off. This is a starter cup, and I've put the nut back on for reasons that will become obvious later. Now this is the way I get a flywheel off. Now it's threaded, so you can put pullers on and all this crap, but I've always just it's easy with two people if you can put 2 screwdrivers and just lever it up, put a little bit of pressure, and then screw this bolt on till it's something like flush, and then give it a whack with a mash hammer. Now if you've got an electric or a pneumatic hammer with a point on it, you can put that in the middle. That's even better. I've got an electric one, but I can't be fucked getting it out, so I'm going to give this a whack and see what happens. So it's a bit harder to do by yourself, but if there's two of you, it's quite easy. I'll put you in the holder and see what you can see. It looks like you can see something. So the nut is about flush. There's a small gap here to put a screwdriver. I'm just applying a little bit of pressure because if you break some of this casting, it's only aluminium, and then you're in more trouble. But also leaving the nut on, it can't jump off onto the ground. I think it has moved. It's not exactly jumping off to meet us, is it? Yeah, it is moving. This is probably a reasonable example. Now we're losing threads now. So this is where a pneumatic hammer would be good. Gee, that is tight. I've only got a couple of threads. Because you don't want to bugger up the threads. It's definitely come out. And they usually come off easier than this. That's why I don't have a lot of threads on that nut, so that's why yeah, you can see that has definitely moved. There you go. I might have to give that a bit of a clean up. And there's a key in there, I don't know if you can see. That's obviously for the ignition timing. And we've got 2 magnets there, and it looks like something's been touching. Can you see where the 2 magnets are? I don't know what the camera can see, but it appears to have been touching the coil. So the air gap must be all right. There's not much points gap, and it looks a bit furry, so I'll clean them up. So I'm going to say uru and end it there. Okay, fellas, so I got the points out. Now, these points, I'm going to guess, are the original ones from Victa. Now, I can't separate them. There's no nut and bolt to separate. Sometimes points you can separate from the pivot point and get, you know, the top and bottom one. So what that means is I've got to file them together. Now, there was a bit of furry stuff around the edge, which I've removed. Now, I haven't got a points file, but I've just got this, looks a bit shabby because it's got a bit of rust on it, a needle file. Now, I bought this set from PS Studs, made in England, a division of James Neal Products. Really good, hang on, I can't show you. A really good set of needle files. Unfortunately, I lived in Red Hill in the country at a farm for a time, and this is in the shed. It's only surface rust, so it looks a lot worse than it is, but it was a very good, high quality set. It's a tad thick, but basically I had to put the file in between the two, and I filed one surface and then the other, and I removed all the fur around the outside. Now, I will put, see this little rubbing block here? That rubs against the cam. I am going to put a little knob of wheel bearing grease behind there just to lubricate that. And it'll be about the size of a match head or something like that. You know, or an eighth the size of a pea, or maybe a tenth the size of a pea, because that'll just make that last. And then you can see then that should work as it's supposed to. I'll have to find out what the gap is, but usually it's a hacksaw. And if the condenser works and the coil works, we should be in business. I looked and I couldn't find anywhere that the coil seems to be touching those magnets, but I'm very confident that they were. I've cleaned up, there was a little bit of detritus on the shaft and in the flywheel, so I've cleaned both of those up with WD-40, and it seems to slide on now. The reason it was hard to get off was because it's a parallel shaft. Usually they're on a taper, and so once you crack them they just pop off, but that one actually had to be pulled all the way because it's a parallel shaft, which I don't know if I've seen before, but that's the way it is. I'm just looking at my milkshake machine. Did I show? I don't know if I showed the other day. If you can actually read, I don't know if you can read it. It says Ritter General Electric, and there's a little logo there. And then if you come down here, it says there, Ritter General Electric with their logo, and Melbourne. Melbourne is a town in Australia. So I'll continue on and see how it goes. So uru. Okay, so I have accomplished something today. So here's the setup I've got. I put the flywheel back on, and I've got this cable just roughly sitting there, and I've got the plug earthed, and you can see there's a gap there. Now that is a 13/16 nut. So what I have is the old trusty Makita cordless, and this was a Sid Chrome L-bar that about 30 years ago I cut the L off because I needed it to start a Victa 18, and as you can see it's got a 13/16 socket on the end. So actually I'll have to put you in the holder, but let's see if I can get you to see the spark. It's always hard to do things one-handed. I don't know if you can. capacity to do this. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that spark or not, but I've got to try and do this left-handed or something. If I put my hand up there, I don't know if you can see, it's in daylight too, so yeah, I can see the spark. And it's a blue spark, so that's always good. If a blue spark is as good as you can hope for. If you get an orange spark, it's pretty crap, and yellow is next to useless. So you get a bit of an indication of that. But so I've accomplished something today. So we've got spark, so I can put the head on now because I know I can make this mower work. It's mechanically there and it's got spark, and if it's got a fuel problem I can sort that out. So that might be tomorrow's job, but I'll say uru.